A new NBC poll came out today with some hopeful news. Americans by a 2-to-1 margin believe the testimony of former FBI Director James Comey over that of our dear leader Trump. A plurality of Americans, 45%, said Comey was honest, while only 22% said Trump was the honest one. If I were looking at the glass half full, I would say that vindicates the idea that Americans are able to use logic, rational thinking, and put their political entrenchments on the wayside for the greater good. For we are not Americans first before liberals or conservatives, am I right? But pulling back the layers of the onion, we can conclude several concerning details. Number one, only a plurality of people agreed. So while it's true that it's 2 times more, it still means a lot of people don't trust either or don't know what to believe. This gives room for misinformation and propaganda by Trump's online troll army, with perhaps an award for Best Supporting Actress in Destabilizing a Democracy to a foreign actor. I'm talking to you, Vladimir. But it gets even worse than that. Only 10% of Republicans believe our former FBI Director Comey. 10%. Just take a minute to look at that graph. And still, half of Republicans believe Trump's version of events. You know, the one thing that Trump didn't lie about, he really could walk in the middle of Fifth Avenue, shoot someone, and people would still support him. Yes, it really is unbelievable. Now, some conspiracies are real. And all of these leaks that we're reading about, conservative talk about the quote-unquote deep state, well, they're right to be concerned, but not for the reasons that the sexually frustrated Sean Hannity wants us to believe. There are hundreds of thousands of civil servants with security clearances whose job it is to protect us from threats both foreign and domestic. We have always had foreign threats, but now we have a very real domestic one too. Hey, Donald, you can't obstruct justice and whine when the good guys come for you, and they are coming for you. If I were you, I'd be really, really nice to Mike Pence right now. You wouldn't want him to maybe elect not to pardon you after you resign or impeach for high crimes and misdemeanors, violating the Constitution, obstruction of justice, including with the foreign power to steal an election. So maybe put that as a really, really important life goal on the near-term to-do list. But Donald's not really the problem. The problem is you've got elected in the first place. The problem is there are millions of Americans who actually put their party before country. Stop saying you put country before party because you clearly don't. Time and time again, you've entrenched yourselves in Trump's bullshit lies and then become an accomplice in his bank heist by your constant defense of him. You're the same people who thought that George W. Bush was doing an amazing job on his last day in office, even though 2 investment banks went down, we had a $1.4 trillion deficit, a $750 billion giveaway to Wall Street, the guys who fucked us in the first place with the help of their government conspirators, a $30 billion car bailout, so we could still have some sort of manufacturing left in this country, over 4 million jobs lost in the past year in a recession that lasted for 14 months prior on a downward trend that was going to make the Great Depression look like the good old times. And after all that, you people, the so-called conservatives, the so-called strict constitutionalists thought George W. Bush was doing an awesome job. In fact, 75% of Republicans approved of his job on his last day in office, according to Gallup. So I'm sorry, but really not sorry, because I'm just trying to be polite, but fuck it. You don't deserve it. You lost your credibility over and over. You need an intervention, and I'm here to start that intervention because we love you. But it's time to admit you have a fucking problem. Admitting you have a problem is half the battle. Conservatism is a cancer, and we just need to be honest about that now, but it's okay because you're among friends here. Here's a newsflash. In fact, this is probably going to be breaking news to some of my conservative friends. You don't have to twist yourself into intellectual pretzels to defend our dear leader Trump. You have Mike Pence. The single best thing conservatives can do is to impeach Trump so they can get a legitimately awful social conservative like Mike Pence in as president. But don't worry, we fucking hate him. I promise. I really promise. This isn't a head fake. This is a guy who was so bad, he would have lost his re-election bid as governor in Indiana had he tried. No one wanted to be Trump's VP pick, and this was his step up for him. Little did he know he would get to be the VP. He thought he was just going to get to run for president in 2020, and now he's likely going to be our next president if Republicans ever decide to put their country ahead of party. My name is Daniel Goldman with Content.News, where we are always free to share the truth.